Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of my little garden, the late afternoon sun dipping low, casting golden streaks across the patchy grass I've tended for years, and I'm smiling at the sight of a single, stubborn daffodil pushing through the soil. It's a small victory, but at 73, I've learned to cherish every one. My name is Carmen, and I've lived a life of quiet moments, of long silences that stretched across decades after I lost my first husband. But these past 6 years, they've been a burst of color I never saw coming, all thanks to Dylan, the man who stepped into my world when I thought my story was already written. I met Dylan at a community dance event of all places. I was there out of obligation, dragged by a friend who insisted I couldn't spend another evening alone with my knitting. He was there too, a widower with a shy grin, lingering near the punch bowl like he wasn't sure he belonged. We were both a little out of place, two souls past the age of reckless romance. But when he asked me to dance, his hand trembling just a bit, I felt something stir. It wasn't love at first sight, no, but it was a spark of possibility. Over time, that spark grew into a steady flame, and now, 6 years later, he's my husband, my companion, the one who fills my quiet days with laughter. Dylan brought more than just himself into my life. He brought his family, a loud, sprawling, chaotic bunch that swept me up like a tidal wave. I'm a reserved woman, always have been, content with my own company. But Dylan's kin didn't care about that. They welcomed me with open arms, pulling me into their fold without hesitation. His 2 younger brothers, Miles and Grant, are constants in our lives. Miles, with his quick wit and endless energy, is always organizing something. Barbecues, card games, you name it. Grant's the quieter of the two, but he's got a knack for fixing things, always tinkering with a broken chair or a leaky faucet when he stops by. They're both younger than Dylan by a good decade, but they look up to him like he's the rock of the family. And maybe he is. Then there are Robert and Evelyn, Dylan's parents, the beating heart of this clan. Their old house, with its creaky wooden floors and faded wallpaper, is a museum of memories, photographs on every wall, knickknacks from decades past cluttering the shelves. Every time I step through their door, I'm hit with the smell of Evelyn's baking, sweet and warm, like cinnamon and vanilla have woven themselves into the very air. Robert, always in his armchair by the window, has an ancient radio that crackles to life with big band tunes or the drone of a baseball game. He'll look up, give me a nod and say, "Carmen, you're just in time for the good stuff," even if I've just walked in on a commercial break. Today, though, is special. It's the day of one of those big family dinners at Robert and Evelyn's, the kind that pulls everyone together under one roof, no excuses allowed. I'm buzzing with a quiet excitement as I get ready in our small apartment, the mirror reflecting a woman who's still surprised to find herself part of something so lively. I slip into a simple navy dress, nothing fancy, just comfortable and familiar, smoothing the fabric over my hips with hands that have seen their share of years. Dylan's in the bedroom, fumbling with his tie, and I can't help but smile as I walk over to help him. My fingers work the knot with ease, a little ritual we've kept since the early days, and he chuckles under his breath, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "You'd think I'd have this down by now, Carmen," he says, and I laugh softly, teasing him about how we still fuss over each other like we're newlyweds, even after all this time. It's a small moment, but it's ours. A quiet warmth before the storm of family chaos we're about to dive into. We head out to the car, the late afternoon light casting long shadows across the driveway, and I settle into the passenger seat as Dylan starts the engine. The drive to Robert and Evelyn's is a familiar one, winding through country roads lined with old oaks and fields that stretch out forever under the fading sun. Dylan hums along to the radio, some old tune I can't quite place, his voice low and a little off-key, but comforting all the same. I watch the scenery roll by, the blur of green and gold, and let my mind wander to how these drives always feel like a bridge between our quiet life and the vibrant mess of family waiting on the other side. There's something grounding about it. The rhythm of the road, the hum of the engine, the man beside me who's become my home. When we pull up to the house, gravel crunching under the tires, I can already hear the commotion spilling out through the open windows. Children are darting around the yard, their laughter sharp and bright, chasing each other with boundless energy I can only marvel at. I step out of the car, smoothing my dress again out of habit, and Dylan takes my hand as we walk up the porch steps. The front door swings open before we even knock, and there's Miles, grinning ear to ear, clapping Dylan on the shoulder with a force that makes me wince. "About time, big brother," he says, then turns to me with a wink. "Carmen, you're looking sharp. Keeping this guy in line?" I smile, shaking my head, as Grant appears behind him, quieter but just as warm, offering a firm handshake and a nod that speaks volumes. Their energy fills the space around us, a tidal wave of familiarity that sweeps me right in. Inside, the house is a whirlwind of noise and life. Evelyn is bustling in the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour, calling out for someone to grab more plates as the aroma of her famous pot roast fills the air. I can hear the clatter of dishes and the hum of overlapping conversations, a symphony of family that's both overwhelming and oddly comforting. Dinner unfolds in a blur of passing platters, shared stories, and bursts of laughter that echo off the walls. I sit beside Dylan, my hand resting lightly on his arm, feeling anchored by his steady presence amidst the chaos. Miles and Grant are across from us, cracking jokes and egging each other on, their voices cutting through the din. It's a scene I've grown to love, even if I'm still the quiet one at the table, content to listen and soak it all in. But as the evening wears on, Dylan excuses himself to head upstairs, saying he needs to check on something with Robert, who's been slower to move lately. I nod, giving him a small smile, and watch him disappear up the creaky staircase, his footsteps fading into the muffled noise of the house. I decide to help clear the table, gathering plates and carrying them to the kitchen, where the sink is already piled high with dishes. The laughter from the dining room lingers for a moment, a fading echo. But as I stand there at the sink, rinsing off bits of gravy and mashed potatoes, a strange stillness settles over the room. It's like the air itself has shifted, grown heavier, and I can't quite place why. The clink of porcelain against porcelain is the only sound for a moment, until I realize I'm not alone. Miles and Grant are still here, lingering near the kitchen table, their voices quieter now, almost hushed. I feel their presence more than I hear it, a weight that presses against the edges of my awareness, and it's unsettling in a way I can't quite name. I keep my focus on the dishes, the warm water running over my hands, but I can sense their eyes on me. It's not the first time I've noticed it, those lingering glances from both of them over the years, the kind I've always brushed off as harmless, maybe even flattering in a distant sort of way. But tonight, it feels different, sharper, like a blade hidden beneath a casual smile. I try to shake the thought, telling myself I'm imagining things, that I'm just tired after the long day. Then Miles steps closer, his boots scuffing softly against the linoleum floor, and I hear his voice, low and smooth, as he says, "That was a hell of a dinner, Carmen. You've got a way of making everything feel like home." It's a simple comment, the kind of thing he's said 100 times before, but there's an edge to his tone now, a subtle undercurrent that makes my skin prickle. I murmur a quick thanks, keeping my eyes on the sink, but my hands slow, the sponge trembling just a bit in my grip. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Grant move, his tall frame shifting to lean against the doorway, effectively blocking the only exit from the kitchen. It's a casual stance, hands in his pockets, but it feels deliberate, calculated, like he's placed himself there for a reason. My heart starts to thud harder in my chest, a rhythm I can't ignore, and the air seems to thicken, pressing down on me until it's hard to draw a full breath. I want to say something to break this tension that's building like a storm cloud, but my throat feels tight, my words stuck somewhere I can't reach. Miles takes another step, close enough now that I can feel the heat of him beside me, and before I can react, his hand brushes against my thigh, a deliberate touch that sends a jolt through me. It's not accidental, not something I can misinterpret, and my breath catches as I freeze, the sponge slipping from my fingers into the sink. Grant leans in from the other side, his voice a low whisper that cuts through the silence like a knife. "Your husband won't see if you're quiet," he murmurs, his eyes locked on mine, dark and unreadable. My mind reels, shock and disbelief crashing over me like a tidal wave, drowning out every coherent thought. My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure they can hear it, a frantic drumbeat in the suffocating stillness of the kitchen. I want to scream, to push them away, to run, but my body betrays me, rooted to the spot as if my feet are cemented to the floor. The warm water from the faucet continues to run, a mindless trickle over the half-washed dishes, the sound a cruel mockery of normalcy in this moment that feels anything but. And then, like a thunderclap in the silence, I hear it, the creak of a floorboard just beyond the doorway. My eyes snap up. And there he is, Dylan, standing in the threshold of the kitchen, his broad frame filling the space where Grant had been leaning just moments ago. His face, that kind face I've come to know so well over these past 6 years, shifts in a heartbeat. First, there's confusion, his brow furrowing as he processes the scene before him, me, frozen at the sink. Miles too close on one side, Grant on the other, the air thick with unspoken tension. Then, as realization dawns, confusion gives way to something else, something raw and devastating. His eyes, those warm brown eyes that have always looked at me with such tenderness, darken with a pain so profound it steals the breath from my lungs. I can see it, the betrayal, the hurt, carving lines into his face as if each second ages him a year. I jerk back instinctively, trying to put distance between myself and Miles, my hands trembling so badly I nearly knock over a glass on the counter. My lips part, desperate to explain, to say something, anything that might erase the look on Dylan's face. "Dylan, I didn't..." The words stumble out, clumsy and weak, dying before they can even form a proper sentence. My voice cracks, barely above a whisper, and I hate how small I sound, how guilty, even though I know I didn't invite this. But the weight of his gaze pins me in place, and I can't find the strength to finish. Miles and Grant step back almost in unison, as if they've suddenly remembered where they are, who they're with. I catch the flicker of defiance in Miles's expression, a stubborn set to his jaw, but there's guilt there too, lurking in the way his eyes dart away from Dylan. Grant, always the quieter one, looks down at the floor, his shoulders hunched, hands still shoved deep in his pockets. Neither of them says a word, and their silence is deafening, a void that sucks all the air out of the room. I want them to speak, to take responsibility, to say something that might lessen the blow, but they don't. They just stand there, leaving me to bear the brunt of Dylan's stare. And Dylan, he doesn't yell. He doesn't lash out or storm across the room like I half expect him to. He just stands there, his silence more crushing than any outburst could ever be. His eyes bore into mine, and in them, I see everything I've feared since the day we said our vows, the loss of trust, the shattering of something sacred. It's a look of profound betrayal, one that tells me he's not just seeing this moment, but questioning every moment that came before it, every quiet laugh, every shared glance, every tender touch. Did they mean anything at all? I can almost hear the questions swirling in his mind, and each one cuts deeper than the last. My thoughts are a chaotic mess, racing so fast I can't grab hold of any single one. I want to rewind time, to go back just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to when I was still rinsing dishes and laughing at the distant sound of Evelyn's voice calling for more dessert. I want to undo this, to unsee the way Dylan's face has changed, to unfeel the suffocating weight of this moment. My chest aches with the desperation of it, a physical pain that mirrors the emotional wreckage unfolding before me. I want to reach for him, to bridge the chasm that's opened between us in the span of a heartbeat, but my arms feel lead. I'm standing there, rooted to the spot in that suffocating kitchen, the weight of Dylan's gaze still burning into me, when he suddenly turns away. No words, no final look, just a sharp pivot on his heel, his shoulders rigid with a pain I can feel echoing in my own chest. His footsteps are heavy, deliberate, as he strides out of the room, each one a hammer blow to my heart. I'm frozen for a moment, my breath caught in my throat, until I hear the front door slam shut with a force that rattles the windows. The sound snaps me out of my daze, a brutal punctuation to the silence he left behind. I stumble forward, my legs shaky, almost tripping over a chair as I rush to the window. Through the smudged glass, I see him, Dylan, my Dylan, climbing into his car, the headlights cutting through the dark like twin blades. He doesn't look back, not even for a second, as the engine roars to life and he peels out of the driveway, disappearing into the night. The taillights fade into nothing, swallowed by the blackness, and I'm left staring at an empty road, my hands pressed against the cold pane, trembling. I turn from the window, my mind screaming at me to do something, to fix this, to bring him back. I stagger toward the door, my heart pounding so hard it feels like it might burst, my fingers fumbling with the knob as if I could somehow catch up to him. But as I yank it open, the cool night air slapping against my face, I stop. My feet halt on the threshold, and a sickening realization washes over me. There's no point. He's gone. Not just down the road, not just for the night, but gone in a way that feels final, like a chapter ripped out of a book with no way to paste it back. I stand there, the porch creaking under my weight, staring into the empty darkness where his car vanished, feeling the void he left behind growing wider with every breath I take. Behind me I hear the shuffle of feet, the awkward clearing of throats. Miles and Grant are still there, lingering like shadows I can't shake. I don't turn around. I can't face them. Not now. Not after what they've done. Miles mutters something, a half-hearted, "Sorry, Carmen," that sounds more like an afterthought than a real apology. Grant doesn't even try, just shifts uncomfortably before I hear the scuff of their boots as they slip past me, heading out into the night without another word. I don't watch them go. I don't care where they're headed. The door swings shut behind them with a soft click, and suddenly the house is silent. Too silent. The kind of quiet that presses against your eardrums, that makes every creak and whisper feel like a shout. I'm alone now, truly alone, in this space that was so full of life just hours ago. Then I hear it. Soft footsteps on the stairs, the faint murmur of voices. Evelyn and Robert are coming down, drawn by the commotion, their faces etched with confusion as they step into the dim light of the hallway. Evelyn's hands are still dusted with flour from the kitchen, her apron tied loosely around her waist, and Robert's leaning on his cane, his brow furrowed deeper than usual. "What's going on, Carmen?" Evelyn asks, her voice gentle but laced with worry. "Where's Dylan?" Robert adds, his tone gruffer, his eyes scanning the empty room as if he might find answers in the shadows. I open my mouth to respond, but the words stick, lodged somewhere between my heart and my throat. How do I even begin to explain this? How do I tell them what just happened without shattering the fragile bond I've built with them over these years? But I have to. There's no hiding it, no pretending everything's fine when the truth is written all over my face. So I force myself to speak, my voice barely above a whisper, cracking on every other word as I stumble through the story. I tell them about Miles and Grant, about the moment in the kitchen, about Dylan walking in and seeing everything unravel in a split second. I choke out the details, my hands twisting together as if they could somehow wring out the pain. Evelyn's eyes widen, her hand flying to her mouth, while Robert's face hardens, his grip tightening on his cane. I can see the disbelief, the hurt, mirroring what I saw in Dylan's expression just minutes ago. They don't interrupt, don't ask questions, just listen as I spill it all, my voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. When I finish, the silence that follows is heavier than ever, a weight that threatens to crush me. Evelyn steps forward, her arms reaching out as if to comfort me, but I shake my head, stepping back. I don't deserve it. Not now. Not after the mess I've been part of, even if I didn't start it. The days that follow are a blur of emptiness. I go back to our apartment alone that night, the quiet of the space suffocating me. Dylan's things are still there, his coat on the hook, his coffee mug on the counter, but he isn't. I wait for him to come back, sitting by the window with the lights off, staring at the driveway as if his car might magically appear. Hours turn into a sleepless night, and then into a gray dawn that brings no answers. By the end of the first week, I realize he's not coming home. I find out through a curt text from a mutual friend that he's moved out, taken a small place across town. No explanation, no goodbye, just a cold, hard fact that slices through me like a knife. I try calling him over and over, my fingers shaking as I dial his number, but it goes straight to voicemail every time. His voice on the recording, so familiar, so warm, feels like a cruel taunt now. I leave messages, my words clumsy and desperate, begging him to talk, to let me explain. but there's never a response. I send texts, too, long paragraphs pouring out my heart, but they sit unread, marked only by the cold blue of my own words on the screen. Weeks turn into months, and the silence grows thicker, more oppressive. I learn through Evelyn, who still checks in on me despite everything, that Dylan has cut ties completely. He's deleted every trace of us from his life, our shared photos, the little mementos of our years together. All gone, as if they never existed. She tells me, her voice heavy with sadness, that he's told Miles and Grant they're dead to him. A final, brutal severing of family bonds that shocks even me. I can't imagine the pain behind that decision, the rage and betrayal that must have driven him to erase his own brothers from his world. Evelyn's words hang in the air, a bitter reminder of the wreckage left in the wake of that night. I ask her if he's said anything about me, if there's any chance, any sliver of hope. But she just shakes her head, her eyes filled with a pity I can't bear to see. I try to reach out in other ways, desperate to bridge the gap I've created. I sit at my kitchen table late at night, a dim lamp casting shadows across the room, and write letters to him. Pages and pages of apologies, explanations, pleas for just one conversation. I pour everything into those words, my handwriting shaky, smudged with tears in places. I mail them to his new address, which I only got through Evelyn's reluctant help. But they come back unopened, stamped with "Return to Sender" in stark black ink. Each one feels like a slap, a confirmation that he's shut me out for good. I keep writing anyway, as if the act itself might somehow reach him, might carry my regret through the miles between us. But the mailbox stays empty of replies, a silent testament to the wall he's built. Robert and Evelyn try to mediate, bless their hearts. They call me, their voices gentle but firm, urging me to keep trying, insisting that Dylan just needs time. They reach out to him too, I know they do, begging him to sit down with me, to hear me out. Evelyn tells me about the small breakthroughs, the moments when Dylan's eyes soften and his defenses waver, giving me hope that one day the wall between us might finally come down. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.